Vitaly, you got to remember, he doesn't have a day job or a family, man. He doesn't deal with all the stresses that we do.
Nothing.
Hey,
He's got
I
the
have stress in my life. Okay.
Right, like whether to eat Chipotle or Domino's. Like that's like the big
25-year-olds
fight
do not have
of the
stresses.
day.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly, dude. We've been there.
Yeah.
The only stress you have is when to take a shit. That's
Yeah.
the biggest stress you got.
When to pinch the couch or whatever you called it.
when,
Blow.
to, when to pinch one off.
When to pinch one off. All right. Finance Junkies tonight, 9 p.m. Eastern. We're early here today. Thank you, 108 people, for being here in 34 seconds. Means the world to us. We've got a lot to talk about, ladies and gentlemen. We've had a market that has gone bananas, bonkers
Insane.
after hours. We've had stocks that said, instead of doing $7 billion of revenue, you know what? We're going to do $11 billion. I've in my lifetime, in my 25 years of being alive, I have, even though I've only been investing for 4 years, I've never seen a company say we're going to beat earnings by $4 billion, or at least revenue.
It's crazy.
Insane. So that's happened. And then as a result of that, there's been a trickle-down effect to all these other stocks that are going on and that are engaging in the market right now. So I think we'll start off with this. Let's start off with NVIDIA, then we're going to go to Snowflake, and then we'll talk about everything else that has been happening from there. Vitaly, what was your reaction to seeing NVIDIA surge to $394 after hours? And do you have any thoughts on if you think it's a buy or a sell right now?
I wouldn't be buying it, but this goes to show you the people who are shorting it, and we know some of these folks, okay, that
Any
you
names?
do not,
Yeah.
no names, you do not short super high quality, profitable companies. It's the dumbest thing you can do. Am I buying more NVIDIA? No, I'm definitely not buying more NVIDIA, but to say that this company is not going to be worth more in the future than this price, than the 700 billion, 800 billion, of course it's going to be worth more, 100%.
Well, technically, that market cap is based on 305. It's actually at 380, which means this is $1 trillion company.
Now it's $1 trillion. So, look, I would not
wait.
be rushing
It
into
hit
this.
trillion, Chris, after hours, basically.
Yeah, because the market cap is based on the 305. At 380, think about it, 25% higher than that. That means that it's
I think
trillion.
he's right. So people do not FOMO into anything. You've missed your chance. That's too late for you.
Vitaly, let me give you a little stat. Meta did $28 billion in revenue last quarter, $640 billion market cap. NVIDIA is going to do $11 billion next quarter. They're at $1 trillion market cap.
Well, okay, first of all, the market prices things how fast they're growing. If NVIDIA is actually growing and doubling their revenue, basically, or doubling their profit, they're saying, right? So they deserve a higher market cap. That's just the way it works.
I get it. I'm just saying, isn't it crazy? Meta did $28 billion in revenue and has $400 billion less in market cap than NVIDIA, that's doing $15 billion less in quarterly revenue. Like,
it's a difference also between products and services.
Correct. There's 100%. Maybe advertising on Facebook.
Well, why don't we look right now how much AT&T did in revenue? I bet you it beats all of them.
And also,
I know exactly, but they're just not.
Nobody cares.
Not all revenue is created equal.
Yeah, and Meta's revenue has slowed down considerably compared to what it was 5 years ago. So even from a growth rate perspective, NVIDIA's got a lot of boost behind it because there's so much demand for their chips right now. They can charge an arm and a leg and make money. That's how in demand their chips are right now.
Chris, what was your take? Is that your argument that chips are so in demand that, I guess my question is, do you think investors after hours that bought the stock decided to buy it because of that argument about chips? And are they wrong for that argument, or are they just misallocating the time in which they are doing these buys?
To be honest with you, I have no idea because some people were saying that this could possibly be a short squeeze. There wasn't a big float on it. It could be a gamma squeeze because there were a lot of options contracts that were, I think, in the 300. So maybe it's a gamma squeeze, but I can't tell. I don't know who the net buyers are. I don't know if it's like big funds buying in, whoever. But the valuation seems to be a little rich. But that's what I heard when it was 200. And then that's what I heard when it was 250. That's what I heard when it's 300. So with companies like this that have a secular tailwind behind them, I don't think that there's a theoretical limit on when they can stop. So this is definitely not a place like you can say that they're overvalued, but don't mistake trying to bet against a secular trend. Like if you see any company have that, like even this C3 AI, I know some people are like, oh my God, it's like a no-name company. It doesn't really have any products. Revenues are somewhat flat, blah, 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 all this stuff. you know, they have a secular trend of AI being behind their name, so they're gonna ride up. So same thing with Palantir, same thing with a lot of big companies. You know, the one thing I will say is though, this is a perfect opportunity to, like I said, look at companies that are secondary and tertiary beneficiaries of NVIDIA's growth. So if NVIDIA is saying that they're going to do $11 billion in revenue, right? All those GPUs are going to be placed into specific hardware that's built for AI. That's why Supermicro today ran up 10% also after hours.
That is
right?
correct. I forgot about that. Can you explain
No.
why SMCI is up after hours?
Before you say SMCI, because I don't want you to leave this topic, what
Yeah.
we're going to talk about later is Unity, and Unity is an AI play, which is
Yeah.
not considered an AI play, and they're buying those GPUs to run cloud services, which nobody cares about right now.
Yeah.
So, but go ahead.
So if you go to the 1 year, I would say the year to date chart on this. So one of the things was, I know a lot of people had their focus on NVIDIA, but my focus was on the secondary and tertiary beneficiaries of this whole AI trend. So if you look at it, scroll down just a little bit, NVIDIA's PE is like almost 200 something at this point, right? This company's PE is only 15,
Good.
right? And it's growing revenue like
Goodness.
crazy. So look at its financials.
I said, what was their forward
More,
in terms
more.
of NVIDIA right
Go
now?
scroll up and you see the financials. Have you never used Google before? Go
No,
back.
I used
one.
it. I'm not. Oh, there it is. Here it is down here.
Yeah. So you can see from just purely financial standpoint, they're boosting on all sorts of metrics. So they're going to be direct beneficiaries of this secular trend. That's
Good.
why this was a great play to make during the last like 6 months. So you see, look at
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. This is when you were telling about us at 7 or 80, and now we got it up here. All right.
Yep, and it's up to $80. I told you, my wife is loaded right now with calls. I was actually at dinner with her. Her account is loaded with calls, and I didn't even realize it, but she actually has some stock too. So good for her. I'm a little bit upset because I'm like, God damn it, I want to be in the right, but whatever. It's the same. It's coming from the same money.
So is
it's
she
okay.
offloading some, taking
No.
those profits and buying some
No.
Teslas?
No,
Yeah.
no, she's gonna let it ride, man. This secular trend, I think, has
She's a
at least
gambler. at
another
heart.
6. She's a degenerate. She's got Palantir too. She wouldn't let me sell Palantir. So
Well, she was right.
whatever.
£9 here.
So it is what it is. But yeah, so I think this is the beginnings of a secular trend for AI. I just don't know when it's going to end, because there's always these points.
Oh
when
no,
new
it's not going to end for a
technologies
decade. It's not going to.
I don't know, man. Every time I hear that,
Right.
like that happened with crypto, that happened with machine learning, that happened
Well,
with every single
EVs,
industry.
it was never going to end,
Yeah.
and then 2 years after, it ended.
Yeah, so it typically happens where you have like these, when new technologies arise, people are like, oh my God, I need to get in. And then they overpay the shit out of these companies. And then later on, they discover that, hey, maybe the use cases are actually a lot more limited, you know,
Right.
and then eventually things come back down. Like when you think about it, Rivian used to be $100 billion company. Think about that for a second. They're
Right.
$100 billion company, barely making any revenue, right?
So you can't say
We-
that about NVIDIA, though.
Yeah, no, we can't. You're
Yeah,
absolutely right.
comparing
We can't.
NVIDIA to
Yeah.
Rivian is different. But I get your point. Your point is that at one point the market felt like that was okay.
Mhm.
FOMO is real. Fuckbucker. Yeah, it's true.
Yeah.
And it's sort of a hype. It's the buzz phrase of today. AI.
You know what's
right?
weird?
And
My wife
NVIDIA's
never took
considered
my
the
last
technical
name.
shuttle.
My wife never took my last name.
Really?
Like yeah. Well, the thing is, like, she's got so many like degrees and all the other stuff. I kind of just said it's fine as long as the kids have my last name. We could be a little
She
bit
doesn't want to be
progressive about
associated
it.
with a degenerate.
No, there's just so many. There's just so many of us Patels out there. You know, she would do it if I told her to, but she's.
If I done told her.
If I told her to.
I
Oh,
told-
man.
I mean, if I asked her to, she would do it. But
She
so a
who
lot of
shall-
people are like, Mrs.
hold on,
Patel,
listen.
Mrs.
She who shall
Yeah.
not be named in the comments.
She's
Right?
not there. I banned her. I banned
Oh,
her.
you
I
banned
blocked
in the
her.
comments.
I blocked her in the comment section, so she can't get on right now.
Right.
That's hilarious.
I think my
She-
producer wife is in the comments too, lurking somewhere.
She was my wife was like, my comments are not showing up on the feed. I'm like, yeah, because I banned your ass like 3 months
Blocked,
ago.
banned, muted.
She got to make another bot account. There's YouTube. You can make 1 billion accounts. She got to make another one.
Chris only married for the tax filing deduction. That's what.
No, she makes more money than I do. So actually, I'm her tax deduction.
Right.
you know.
You're the loss claimed.
You're her
That's
write-off.
right.
Okay, we got to move on to another. Let me set this up for a little bit, and then Chris, you're going to be able to respond because this one's for you. but let me set it up a little bit. Okay. So give me 3 minutes here. I need 3. Here was a tweet I put out today. I said Wall Street gave Snowflake a massive premium because of their growth in user base. For those that don't know, Snowflake fell 11% after hours. But it's just a data lake with some fancy features. It's not even a data ocean or a data sea. It's a fucking data lake, okay? The opportunity is not in data lakes. The world has changed. The opportunity is in data-driven transformations for an enterprise. Wall Street, like always, doesn't get it because numbers, 100% year-over-year growth rates, phenomenal. Not philosophy and vision is what matters to Wall Street. It's the numbers. Retail has the edge when it comes to this, especially the Palantir community. Palantir was up after hours, blowing past $13 because I believe there's an actual vision to this company. Chris Patel responds, get off your high horse for 2 minutes. The market is punishing Snow stock for its lofty expectations, not the actual product. Snowflakes is just a data lake. By the way, I said snowflake, not snowflakes. And to call it such pretty explains your lack of understanding with regards to this space. To the Snow folks, another buying opportunity is presenting itself. To Palantir bulls, congrats, but temper your enthusiasm because this could be your next this could be you next quarter, which I don't disagree with. So hold on. The core point here is that your argument, Chris, is that the market is punishing Snow for its expectations, not its actual product. Now, let me say, I love you, Christopher Patel. I love you more than you can imagine. I have made more money on paper in the past 2 days than I have made in the past 4 years of investing because of you. I love you. I look at my portfolio every day and I want to suck. Never mind. I love you because I see more money than I've ever made in my entire life. And my Robinhood is just, it blows my mind because of you. But I think you're wrong on this. I think that Wall Street is starting to finally recognize that Snowflake doesn't have a tech moat. Yes, it's not literally a data lake. They do more stuff than that. But at the end of the day, they are not doing anything in Ukraine. They are not in the bidding to win a contract to digitally transform the entire NHS's healthcare system. And they are acquiring, they announced today, Neva, a search engine that is trying to use LLMs to help enterprises become more efficient, which kind of sounds like Palantir's AIP platform. And it's just funny to me that Snowflake has to acquire a company to be able to have some relevance of AI versus internally grow it. So I guess, can we have a conversation on, do you think it's the market cap of Snowflake that got reduced because of the expectations? Or do you actually think there is a tech moat that is not being accounted for?
No, it's just over expectations. You know, anytime a company gets overly bought because of unreal, like whenever you expect really high, and if you don't perform, you're going to take a hit. And it's only taken a 10% hit after hours. There, people are thinking that this is some kind of like, oh my God, this is the moment where people are losing their money on Snowflake. Dude, it's still at 155. You know, you're still talking about a higher valuation than when it IPO'd. And then a lot of people are like, I IPO'd at 200. No, it IPO'd at like 1 something, but it was oversubscribed. So I think a lot of industries are using Snowflake more than people know. If you don't work in the industry, you don't really notice it. Palantir, on the other hand, is a lot more niche than people think. So yeah, I just think that right now Palantir's got a wave of optimism behind it, which is good. I'm glad for every retail holder. I'm a shareholder of Palantir too. So I know some people are like, oh my God, Chris, it'd be like, no, dude, I sold Snowflake in February. I posted it. I know I got a little bit of shit for selling Snowflake too, because people were like, oh, you're just like a clout chaser. Like, no, dude, Snowflake was overvalued at 177. So I sold it. That's how shit works. I'm not one of those people that's going to hold on to a company that I think's overvalued just because there might be another 5 to 10% to eke out. You know, when I saw Palantir, like the numbers were good, I texted you guys right away. I was like, yeah, I'm buying some Palantir. You know,
so I guess my question is, do you not think at all that the market's like, there's no AI moat to Snowflake, and if the next decade's AI, I don't know what the AI moat is to Snowflake.
There is an AI moat. It's just not as visible as something that Palantir is, because Palantir is internally developing a lot of stuff. With Snowflake, they have a lot of tertiary products. They also have a venture fund that's doing gangbusters in terms of developing companies.
But Chris, you know,
around
venture funds, they're one for 1,000 on these startups. Like,
yeah, but guess what? One of those things can end up hitting and knocking it out of the park. The point is that Snowflake is building an entire ecosystem around its core product that a lot of people are not giving a lot of attention to, except for Wall Street. Remember, Wall Street, these people hire hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of consultants to go in deep dive on these things. They don't just like, oh yeah, let me throw billions of dollars at a company willy-nilly, you know. So On the other hand, Palantir has the wave of retail behind it. It's probably has some hedge funds taking a second look right now at it.
So let me ask you this question. Does this
Mhm.
analysis make any sense? NVIDIA goes up, and algorithms, I would imagine, have bucketed NVIDIA and Palantir in the same bucket because they're AI plays. Is that why it runs up to 1350? Like, can you explain to me this is not retail that's causing this? It has to be some institutions because of NVIDIA. Is that how it works? The algorithms are like, oh, Palantir's AI, NVIDIA's AI, NVIDIA's up 20%. We should buy some Palantir.
I don't know. I don't think it's the high frequency trading firms at all. I think it might be some hedge funds saying, look, we want to hedge our bets and make sure that we actually have Palantir, which is an AI play, in our portfolios, right? The thing is, like,
inclusion
right, and S&P inclusion is another factor. So I think a lot of times people tend to overlook things until the numbers improve, and then people buy in later on. So, just because someone buys in at 13 versus 10, you don't say like, oh my God, the guy who bought at 13 is stupid and the guy that bought at 10 is a genius.
Correct.
Especially if the price of the stock ends up at $50 one day. Like who remembers the guy that bought Amazon at 25 and the guy who bought it at 20? Like, would you say the guy who bought it at 20 is smarter than the guy who bought it at 25? Like, no.
Correct. Yeah.
So the difference is Wall Street is a lot more data dependent on their investing decisions. So if they see that Palantir is now net income profitable, bro, that means that more people are likely to buy into it. And that's likely actually the same bull case that I'm using for SoFi, because SoFi is close to getting GAAP profitability. And so that means that, and today's interview with Noto,
I want to transition to that. So two things. First of all, at 16 minutes and 39 seconds, Vitaly, I know your head is already there, but the audience is telling me to do it for the 7th night in a row. We got 400. 428 people here on our podcast. Thank you so much for being here. Second, before we get to SoFi, let me answer this real quick from Thomas. What are your thoughts on Chevron buying PDC and increasing operations in Denver, Colorado? Any potential to work with Palantir? I don't think so, because Palantir is working with BP, and I think they're kind of doing that exclusively. That was part of the agreement that BP had when they wanted to work with Palantir, to not have competitors work with them as well. So maybe, but honestly, I have no idea if they are actually doing that. But I can definitely research and look into it and get back to you on that tomorrow. Okay. SoFi. So Anthony Noto gave a great interview after hours. Vitaly, I don't know if you got a chance to see this, but this interview was so good. Steve, our good friend, called me at 6 o'clock and he was like, this was the best thing I've ever seen. Chris, do you have any more of a bear case after listening to those 35 minutes by Anthony Noto?
No, I don't. The final bear case that I had with SoFi was regards to their personal loan delinquency rates and what their projected rate was at which they would start to actually take meaningful losses. It's around 8%. They're well under that, into the 3% range. The math checks out. Everything that Noto was saying checks out. The accounting, that checks out. That was the other concern, like with regards to how they're accounting for their personal loans. Also, how they're keeping a lot of those personal loans on the books rather than putting them for sale, because typically what they do is they originate the personal loans, then they sell them, they use the capital to buy more personal loans and make money on the fees that are associated from origination. But yeah, and you know what I did today? I actually applied for a SoFi personal loan and I got rejected. I know that sounds weird. I have an 816.
They saw your gambling habits with banks.
Yeah. I had an 819 credit score, right? But I put in for $100,000 personal loan. And when they asked for like why, I just said, other. Now the reason why I put it in, because I wanted to see how easy it was to get. And it turns out it's actually not that easy to get. Like,
it's pretty easy.
Huh? You're six times over the average loan.
Yeah, well, that's the thing.
I think maybe he put the wrong thing in. If you put something legitimate, pay down debt.
They also calculate based on your income. You can't.
Well, the thing is, like, you see, Vitaly, if I said pay down debt, I have no debt. So they could look at my credit score and be like, what debt is he talking about? There's no debt there. So this is where more information about the person makes sense. I have a feeling that if my wife was the one that put it in there, she would have got it, right? Because one, well, no, they're not racist. They have my wife makes more money than I do. That's number one. And two, she works in the medical field. So what happens is, depending on like which industry you work in, they also know that you have a more secure job. So when they're assigning you these loans, they're looking at like a lot of other extrinsic factors that are not necessarily just based on the FICO score. Because I know, like, if I had gone to any other thing, I probably would have got the personal loan. Like, just based on my FICO being so high, they would have gave it to me. But my income, I put for 100. I put 100,000. I make more than that, but I put 100,000.
Are you an independent
And-
contractor?
No.
Okay, so you're a salaried employee?
No, I'm a salaried employee. So I think that's the key, right? Where they actually live up to the standards that they're talking about. Either that or they figured out I was a mole trying to figure out their algorithm. But either way, they didn't assign it to me. And I know some people would take that as, oh, that's a negative. But no, like, that's a positive. That means
Well,
they're
saw
not
your email, SoFiSucks@gmail.com. And they were like,
How did you know, Carlos?
Little
How
sus.
did you know? But essentially, their loan quality seems a lot more plausible to me, that they're actually might be worth investing in. So I did that. Like I said, I'm valuing them more like a bank rather than a tech company with some other shit. So yeah. So someone said, "Don't feel bad, Chris. I got rejected." What? I got rejected too. I have the highest credit score too. The reason I have no revolving credit card. Yeah, I don't have any credit card debt either. You know, I pay all my credit cards every month.
I'm glad you should transition to that, because I also don't keep credit card debt, and I wonder if Amit and Carlos do, but I have every month 0 credit card debt. It's not, I don't keep any of it.
I try to keep something to float, because I had the same issue. What they say is that you're showing that you're risk averse to being able to hold the debt and be responsible for debt over a long period of time. It's what I had to do with my wife to like build her credit up as well. Just say, look, throw the next 3 purchases on this credit card and just pay it. You have to pay some actual interest.
That's only when you're building the credit.
Mike Hunt.
My credit is already built. I don't need to do any of that.
Mine too.
So once your credit
they
is
kill you for that.
No, they don't. My credit, it goes up higher every month. I actually pay off, and I keep 0 debt, but I have good debt in terms of houses.
You know,
and
look,
assets.
in 2017, I almost didn't get a home. I almost could not get a home for these very same reasons. I had no debt. And a lot of it was because I'm technically an independent contractor. And even though I show high income, because the income wasn't coming in steady, they're like, there's no way. There was only one guy in LA that I know that was able to get that loan underwritten. And if he wasn't able to do it, I wouldn't have been able to buy a home. It's crazy. And I can't afford a house.
Doesn't credit card loans say debt is good?
Huh?
Amit, do you keep debt?
No, I don't keep. I have 1 credit card, and I don't have any debt on that. Not at all.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did you do it just to get the T-shirt?
And there's a big difference.
That's how they got me in college.
He has a Discover card.
No, I did it.
Yeah, you don't use it anywhere.
I did it when I bought my first car. I needed to put 5,000 down, and I got 50,000 miles from United for Chase.
Yep.
So I still have 30,000 of those miles left. So
that's kind of interesting. People don't know the difference between a charge card versus a credit card.
Yeah.
And the thing is, for me, I use my charge card exclusively. So like my Amex, I use my American Express for everything, because I know I'm getting a ton of points back. I'm getting concierge service. I'm getting all sorts of protection that a credit card wouldn't necessarily give you. So that's the other thing that probably dinged me also, because I don't hold a balance ever. Like, if you look at my balance every month, paid completely.
What's your finance charge versus if you had it on a credit card? What's that premium that they're charging you for because I have the same thing. I have the gold, right? Gold Amex.
No, I have the platinum, but I don't even know what interest they charge, because I've never not paid my monthly income, my monthly charge.
They charge you a little something.
If anyone takes anything away today,
you gotta pay a yearly fee for that.
If anyone takes anything away today, do not hold 20% credit card debt for any longer than you have to.
Yeah.
It's the dumbest thing you can do. In fact, sell your stocks and pay off the 20% credit card. That is a better return than keeping the stocks.
There was a great gift that I saw, and it was a person going the wrong way up an escalator, and it said trying to invest while paying off credit card debt. And it's like, it's that exact thing. You're going up, but
I had a friend at one time who was like bragging that he was like investing in these dividend stocks that were giving like 7%, 5%. He's like, look, I'm a genius. But then I'm like, wait a second, like, you have student loan debt right now that's like 6.5%, 7%. So how does this make any sense whatsoever? Why don't you just pay your student debt off? He's like, that doesn't make sense. And I was like, all right.
I was just about to ask that.
Stop using math on me.
I was just about to ask. I have $10,250 in student loan debt. I don't think this conservative court is going to get rid of that 10,000. So should I pay off the 10,000 in cash, or should I keep investing but pay like a $200 month thingy?
And good.
What's your IRR on your money? What's your
Palantir
IRR
shut 'em
on
down.
Sally Mae just shut you off.
Yeah.
If you can pay it off, like your interest is calculated monthly, you'll save actually a lot more money over the life.
Well,
of the
hold
loan
on.
if
You
pay it
haven't
up
found
front.
out what is your interest rate on your student loan debt.
I actually don't know because they're
Oh
still.
my God.
emailing- No,
This
no, no,
guy,
because
he runs a finance channel, people.
no, because the federal the private loan borrower that I use, they haven't gotten back to us on anything. I mean, they sent a couple of emails saying, "Hey, it's
Are
coming,
you
it's
still
coming,
on
it's coming."
deferment? Are you still on deferment right now?
I don't. Yeah, like we haven't paid any student loans in the past.
I know,
2
but
years.
what was your interest rate? There's still an interest rate, even if it's
I think it was
deferred.
like maybe 3%, 4%.
Well,
a
if it's
while
under
ago.
3%,
Yeah.
and you
fuck
can make more
that.
than 3%, then it makes sense
Yeah.
just pay it
But
off
I was
later.
hearing in a video that it's going to go up to 7 or 8%, like across the
no,
board.
no.
That's what I was. That's why SoFi is
think
doing
so.
a lot of refinancing. That's what I heard.
That's if you refinance or something. You're not refinancing your student loan debt. You just keep
You
it at
never go.
3%.
It's never a bad idea to pay off your student loan debt. I mean, I had a lot of student loan debt because I was actually paying off my parents' loan as well, and it was a ton of money. But they are some of the worst companies on earth. And the day that you write that check, it's a lot of money. But when you pay that off and you get that thing in the mail or that email that says congratulations, you don't know when. Oh man, it was a fucking party, dude. I sent that picture to everybody.
It kind of
Just
sucks
pay it
with
off.
student loans. You can't even fucking discharge that shit in bankruptcy. You
Yeah.
know?
Just get rid of it.
Yeah.
That is correct.
I'm saying don't get rid of it. Giving you the opposite advice. When it's 2%, 3%, it's not worth it. If you can make, then dividend stocks do make sense because there are
Yeah.
dividend stocks that pay 10%, 7%, 8%. Then
Right.
it makes sense to buy a dividend stock and pay with the interest of that. So
Yeah.
I don't agree with these two guys on that.
Cameron
Yeah.
says I should buy the S&P and sell covered calls to pay off the debt.
No, that's much more risky. I would just say buy some couple of dividend stocks or something that's more than the student loan debt. And
You know what shocks me about student loan debt? There are people that are in their 60s that fucking still paying their student loan debt.
Mostly
Bro,
Can you believe that
Obama
shit?
got rid of
Medical.
it when he got to the White House. He had student loan debt until he was president.
If you're
really?
if you're a doctor or anything in the medical field, you come out of school with 500,000 in debt.
Chris, that's basically going to be your wife, right? I mean, she has a ton of debt still because
She's got 200, almost like 200K. But the thing is, like, George Bush, president, the second George Bush, he actually came up with a program. It was called PSLF. So as long as you work for a nonprofit for a 10-year period and you make your regular payments, they actually will forgive the balance of your loan. Now, my wife, she works for a hospital system, which is a nonprofit. So, that'll probably get wiped out in the next couple of years because she's been working for almost 8.5. The thing is, though, she could have gotten paid way more in the private sector, right? So like that's one of the trade-offs that you get, like that you won't make more money. But the minute that like her student loans are done, she was like, oh, maybe I'll do this, maybe I'll do that. And I was like, hey, you make that money, girl. I'm all for it.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Very cool. Very fair. Estudia PhD, the guy who was on with yesterday, said it is only 10K, pay 1K every 3 months for a year and invest the rest. Eventually you will hit a big return on a stock rate trade and pay the rest. That's also potentially fair. Just a question of getting that.
Well,
stock.
that's true. That's true too. If you feel like it's there's an urgent time to get the money in the markets, right? To capitalize on an immediate return, it does make sense to capitalize on that.
There is one area where
Wait, Chris, can I just stop you real quick before you do that?
Yeah.
Because I don't know how many times we're going to be blessed for this.
Oh
opportunity.
shit, I see it.
Ladies
Here we
and
go.
gentlemen, at 28 minutes and 2 seconds, we have hit 500 people.
Nice. Yeah.
500. That's awesome. Thank you, everybody. Really appreciate it. Please like and subscribe. Chris, go ahead.
The one thing I'll just say is do not neglect on your 401ks and on your IRAs because those are like dependent on your age. So basically there is a limit every year. And if you don't contribute, that is not a time you're going to get back. And that money is going to grow tax-free. So if you're 22, 23, if you have a choice, do I pay extra towards my student loans or do I put money into a retirement account? Retirement account all day, every day.
Why?
You know,
Because it grows tax free.
yes, exactly. You know,
Okay, now,
because
here's an actual question I have. That's 6,500. What would you put that? Would you just put the index for the Roth IRA, or would I pick a stock that I really believe in?
you can do whatever you want with it, but
Like,
I
what is the smart
personally,
one to do? What is the smart thing to do?
so okay, so to me, the smart thing to do is to put it in companies that typically pay really high dividends, but they put a lot of their tax liabilities on you, but they grow pretty well. So like a REIT would be a great thing to put
Okay.
in a Roth IRA because what happens is REITs, they don't pay taxes at the company level. They shift those taxes over to you as a person. So you would have to pay the taxes that the company doesn't. Now, here's the thing. If it's in a Roth or a traditional IRA, there's no taxes. So now you're basically, that money is just growing tax-free at a
Ah.
tax-free rate, right? Same thing
Wow.
with something called an MLP.
That's why you were thinking of SLG in your retirement account, right?
Yeah. You know, so what happens is if you buy the stock in your just a regular portfolio, the dividends that you're going to get, you're going to have to pay taxes on them, right? But if you put them in your retirement account, you don't have to. So a lot of times REITs will give you like a good 7 to 12% return. But if you put it in your portfolio account, your regular one, you'll pay taxes on it. And depending on your tax bracket, that could be like almost like 3 or 4%, because it'd be like 30% of that money. So that's,
let me ask you this. Let's say I invest in Amazon in my Roth. I'm 25 and I take it out when I'm 60. That's 40 years. What if Amazon's not here in 40 years? Like,
that means your money's gone.
Well, hold on. You can sell at any point. If you think Amazon is going away, just you sell it, you buy something else.
But you sell it in the Roth IRA.
Yeah, you don't need to keep the same stock for 40 years. I'm not going to keep Tesla for 40 years. That's not going to happen.
Yeah.
So who's actively managing your...
You.
Me.
You.
It's like any other brokerage account, except the money in there grows tax-free.
The difference
you can do
is
as many day trades as you want.
Oh yeah, and there's no taxes.
Well, here's the
capital
caveat. Here's the caveat though.
That's kind of fun.
403Bs and 401Ks, they typically limit you to only being able to invest in mutual funds and into indexes. They will not let you day trade. Like some plans will, but very rarely do they do that.
Yeah,
whereas your personal IRAs,
even regular accounts don't want you to day trade, first of all.
Yeah.
So unless you have a special account. So if you're talking about you do one trade every couple of weeks or a week, it doesn't matter. That's fine. If you're actually doing 30 trades a day, that's when they're like,
or
hey,
going in and out of the same stock.
A Roth? That's so cool. Like,
dude, I do it. Here's the other cool thing is here's the other cool thing. If you leave your job and you have money that's already in there, you can take that money and shift it over into like a traditional IRA. So like my traditional IRA has close to like maybe 500K in it, which is really good. But the thing is, the amount that I put in, I only put in like 18, 19, and 20 like every year. But once I left my job, I had all that money that I was able to take and then invest it back into the market. And now I'm in a much better place.
Wait, what do you mean all that money? You mean that 500 you got to take out?
No. It gets converted into something that you can self-manage. So as long as you work for that company, the company's plan is in that specific bucket. So you can only invest in things that they allow you to invest in.
Yeah. I have one of those at Disney.
Yeah, but the minute you leave, you're able to take that money and put it into something that's self-managed. And it's really beneficial once you put into something that's self-managed, because then you can kind of, I don't want to say you can up the risk, but you can up the risk a little bit too. So,
wow, a lot of people are doing this. I buy and sell in my Roth. Damn. Okay.
Yeah, because there's no taxes.
The Roth is
dude.
That's so cool.
I'm not sure what Vanguard. What does Vanguard do? Does anyone know what Vanguard does?
Vanguard's a good one too.
Any gain that I have in my Roth right now, when I buy and sell, I don't give a shit if it's a short-term sell. Who gives a fuck? It just stays in there. Like if I was in my regular portfolio account, I'd have to pay short-term capital gains on it. It will go into my income, my ordinary income taxes, and I get raped on it. So
yeah, but see, then this is why I'm scared to do this sometimes. If you trade with funds that aren't cleared, you'll get a violation. And if I have 4 violations, I'm in probation. So what funds need to be cleared? Is this like a committee?
That means when you sell, you can't just buy right away. It usually has to wait a couple of days before the funds hit your account. So I think a lot of people get this misconception that the minute you sell a stock, the money automatically is deposited into your account. No, depending on what fund, like depending on your broker that you have to typically wait a few days before the money actually hits your account, and then you can buy another stock again, or you could do whatever with. So yeah.
Ranger the dog. How is Amit a finance junkie but doesn't know about trading in retirement?
No. This is look.
He doesn't even have a retirement account.
This is actually perfect, because there are people even among our audience who don't know these are like investor secrets that people don't talk about. Like you know how many times someone's come up to me and says, "Hey, I still trade in my portfolio account." I'm like, "Why don't you have a Roth account?" They're like, "Oh, why? I can do a Roth." I'm like, "Yeah, put it in a Roth and then trade all you want, because now you're trading on tax-free." You know, now here's the thing though, you're not going to be able to touch that money until you're 59 and a half. But the caveat is that money will grow tax-free, in which case you probably won't need it in the short term anyway, you know? So yeah.
That makes sense. Learn something new today.
Always max out, especially if your company does a match. always max out your 401k. And if you work for a corporate, you typically have a 401k. If you work for a nonprofit, like a hospital system or whatever, that's when you get a 403b. So that's the difference. A 401k and 403b are essentially the same thing. The only difference is depending on what company you work for and the tax qualifications that they have. But essentially, if you have the plan at your work, get into it. If you don't know about it, go to your human resources director tomorrow and be like, I want to know everything about this company's 401k plan or 403b plan. Do you guys match? What is the vesting schedule like? How many years do I have to be
max
here?
that out too. If they max
max that shit. That's free money that you're not like free money. Okay. I know a guy who had 100% match. Motherfucker never put money into his 401. He's like, oh, I don't trust the market. I was like, bro, you just turned down free fucking money. You could have just took that money, put it into a cash position, and you would have got 100% return. Can you believe that shit?
Yeah, and for everyone saying I'm the only person who didn't know this, Mike, my guy, he's a bit older than me. He's just learning it, and he doesn't have a Roth yet. He's learning. That's why these conversations are fun, because I think there's a lot of people that don't know this type of stuff. I mean,
I'm going to send you something in the chat. A buddy of mine's brother, like he has a stepbrother, and his father works for some hedge fund. He's like a multimillionaire, and he does a lot of work out of like Saudi Arabia. And he sent me this once. I'm going to send you this in the private chat. This is the breakdown that his brother recommended you do with each of your kids, like the moment that they're born. This is what he does for his children. Can you see that?
Yeah, I'll put it on a Google Doc and I'll share it for everybody.
Yeah.
And
Vanguard total stock. He basically breaks down. So when his kids are born, he maxes out each of the contributions to these, and basically this guarantees that his children will be in college tuition or like debt free.
Here's another cool thing about most 401s and 403b plans. If you contribute to a 401 and 403b plan, you can take the money out as a loan to yourself and use it to buy like a down payment on a house. Like if you have 100,000,
I think you could do that into an IRA, and right, it's not. It's not just a 403.
I don't know about an IRA, but I know for a 401, that's what I did with my.
But it's not like a margin loan against yourself, right? It's not
no. So it's a loan at the current rate that typically is being charged at the. I forgot what kind of level, but basically even the interest that you pay on the loan that you take from yourself, it goes back into that account, which is fucking hilarious, right?
That is weird.
Yeah. So my wife,
deductible, the interest on that. Huh? The interest on that.
I don't think it's tax deductible. My wife, when she was like getting out of residency, I told her, I was like, just max out your 401, max it out. So she maxed out her 401 for 3 years. She had close to 100K, and then we needed to buy a condo. I was like, now you can just take a $50,000 loan out to yourself, to your own retirement plan, use it for a down payment, pay the money, and then put the money back into your 401k after when you're starting to make income. And now you don't have to go scrounging around for a down payment. And the other benefit is that because it's all official, the banks, when they see that, hey, this is where the money is coming from, because a lot of times when you go through something called what is that thing called when you buy a house, and they do like the deep dive into you to make sure that all the money is coming correct.
Due diligence?
No. God, I forgot.
I think I know what you're talking about, because my mom just went through this 2 years ago.
Yeah,
I do too. I can't think of the word.
Like it's like an audit, right?
Yeah. Well, the thing is, like, you have to prove where you're getting the money from.
Underwriting. There you
Underwriting.
go.
Underwriting. There you go. Underwriting.
Writing the under. Correct.
Yes.
Correct.
Underwriting.
That is correct.
Yes.
Okay.
I think the interest also, when you pay the interest, it goes to you.
Yeah, it goes to you. It goes right back into your 401k.
You're paying yourself the interest.
Yeah.
And so there's no loss to do this. It's an amazing thing that you can do.
Yeah. Yep.
All right, I've just put the StreamYard in the chat. Anyone can join. We're coming in the last 20 minutes. You can ask a question. Thank you, 533 people for being here. If this is your first time on the live, please put in the chat first. And no trolls. Futtbucker, don't say first. If it's your first time in the live, please put in the chat first.
I think Jack has the best troll. I have all my children's money in Tattooed Chef.
Oh, man.
Yeah, that was a funny one.
That was a good one.
Okay. While we're waiting for some people
said
back.
It twice.
Carlos, I want to start this off with you. Elon Musk hosts a space with Ron DeSantis. The space crashes. There's too many people. It takes them 20 minutes to start it again. I haven't listened to it yet. I didn't get a chance. What do you think about Elon getting a presidential candidate to announce his bid on Twitter? today.
I think I was listening to it actually. I fell asleep earlier today. My kid got me sick. I don't know if you could see like my eyes all red. I could tell you're
a little off.
I'm down today. But I was listening to that as I was falling asleep, and it was super interesting. I think this is a pivot point in terms of traditional media versus like new media, right? The space was actually awesome, and the questions that were asked of him and having that sort of direct access was a really cool moment.
Were there any weird questions, any awkward questions, or was all?
It wasn't any awkward questions, but they were much more candid. Like they asked him to directly respond to some of the things that you'd see in traditional media. They're saying, this is what the media is saying about you. What do you say to this? And he's like, oh yeah, well, what about this? What about this? What about this? And the good thing about it was he didn't have to speak in sound bites, right? He could just talk. It felt more like a kind of like a town hall. And it really did feel like a group call, like a conference call. I have to go back and listen to the whole thing because at some point I had to leave to go pick her up. But I think it's amazing, and I do hope that more of those presidential candidates do that. I do think though that there's something to be said about doing that with video. It's kind of cool to have it as a call, but I think to really make that take off, it needs to be video. Imagine having like a group video chat with hundreds of
like YouTube, essentially YouTube, right?
Yeah. But I enjoyed it, and it did feel different than a typical presidential announcement.
Dude, it crashed on me like 8 times. I gave up. I was like, every time I would go in, I would hear David Sachs say something, and then I'd hear Ron DeSantis say, and then boom, it would just crash. And then I'd get back out and then go back in again. And it was just like, you know what? I'll catch this another time. I think it was really beneficial.
It was like some people from ARC on there. Like it was, the thing that was cool about it is you're catching a lot of the faces, a lot of the people that a
lot of finance people.
Yeah, you catch a lot, but then you also see like unusual whales, and like you see Elon Musk, Ron DeSantis, and like cat turd. I'm just like, that's awesome. I posted that on Twitter because you're looking at that, you're like, what a rat pack of people just in here,
That's how it should be. That's how it should be.
OnlyFans girls in there, just like hanging
I think they're feeding you what you want to see, Carlos. Though.
Maybe so. Yeah, it was funny. I recommend listening.
David said it crashed more than the Audia app, but that's good. We got Twitter crashing more than that.
Oh, dig.
Is there an actual Audia app? Has that been updated too?
Yeah, that's been updated. Have you checked the update? We updated 2 weeks ago.
Okay,
you can check it. Bryant, you're on with us. Thank you for being here.
Yes, sir. Hello, guys. Can you all hear me? Okay.
Hi there.
Yep.
Hello. So
we can hear you. Where are you calling from, and how long have you been watching the pod?
Yes, I've been watching the pod since the beginning. So I watched you guys form it all right at the beginning. I actually was a millennial. Yeah. I was actually a Millennial Money fan when that group was together and they broke up. So I kind of was like, I kind of need to find my niche again. And then you guys made this.
Dude. So are we.
We're your Backstreet Boys. I get it.
I used to listen
right. We're the instinct to the Backstreet Boys.
Yes. So yeah, I'm calling from Cincinnati, Ohio. So.
Oh, nice.
Yes. Just recently moved here and got a job. And so my question comes kind of at a good time because you guys were just on this topic, but with the Roth IRA, I have to, due to compliance issues, I have to move my accounts from Fidelity to Schwab.
Mm-hmm.
So I was wondering if I was going to probably sell out of my indexes because they're all Fidelity based anyway when I moved to Schwab. So I was kind of wondering in the Roth if you guys thought it was a good idea to go with the dividends over the indexes.
I think it's good to have a mix, by the way. So because look, I know Chris is more about collecting all the dividends inside the Roth or inside the IRA. I'm actually not about that. I think it should be a mixture of growth and the dividend stocks, because the growth, when it takes off, and you're in a Roth especially, you're not paying taxes on things that are taking off, right?
Yeah.
So if you put $1 in today and that dollar becomes $100, just like Peter Thiel, I think there's a comment, he put in like PayPal shares or something. I forgot what he put in. It became 243.
He put 9 million of Facebook shares, turned it into like 5 billion or something
like that. Right. If you do that in a Roth, this is why growth is important to have some of that. It's good to have the backup, of course, the 50% of dividends or the index funds, but I would not do all of it in one. I would try to mix it up a bit.
Yeah. And the one thing that I would say, just to piggyback on that, is that, when I say I want to do stuff that's like accumulating money, I'm also thinking about capital appreciation, because there's a lot of companies like REITs right now that are undervalued. So my thing is they'll go up in price, but then I'll also be collecting dividends at the same time, right? That's one of the keys that I'm looking at right now in the short term. But overall in the long term, I would say your retirement should be your golden parachute from poverty. So you should be actually just investing in nothing but index funds in your retirement account, because your index funds will track the general market and you'll be fine throughout.
No.
But maybe Vitaly disagrees. Go ahead.
I totally disagree. No, I already said why I disagree with that. Because like the capital appreciation that happens could be massive for his Roth account if he can do that instead of the IRA. The IRA, you know the difference between the two?
The Roth IRA and an individual.
So the Roth, you already paid your taxes and you're putting after tax money. So if you do that and that stock 100x on you,
it's all
you're
your
not
money.
paying any capital gains on that stock. So this is what Chris is missing by saying buy all REITs inside your account. That's never going to 100x on you.
I didn't say that. I didn't say buy all REITs. I said that that's the company. That's the location where you want to put nothing but index funds, because that is your golden parachute. Because think of it this way: that's money is for your retirement. You do not want to wake up 60 years old and you bought some speculative names that went nowhere. Because the risk is so much higher too, right? So I would say indexes, because of the way that they're structured, you get inbuilt safety. And especially because you're a young person, I'm guessing in your 20s, if you take the compounding effects of money that you're always putting in there over the next 30 years, dude, by the time you're in your 60s, your golden years are there. You don't have to worry about Social Security. You don't have to worry about any additional shit. So for me, my family, the Roth and all those things, yes, I have a certain portion that I invest, but there's a lot of it that I don't. I just put it into the indexes, let it do its thing, because I do not want to wake up when I'm 60 years old and have to rely on Social Security for my nest egg.
Vitaly and I did an episode where we did a dividend calculator, $100 a month in $100 a month, $100 a week, $400 a month, getting, what was it at the time, 4 or 5% for 25 years?
Like 5%.
It's millions and millions of dollars, right? Even if you just get a steady return, and that's just on dividends. It's really hard for people to calculate exponential growth, and especially time in the markets, because what happens is once your portfolio doubles, then the time it takes for it to double again gets cut in half. So it's like a radioactive half-lives. So if it takes 7 years for your portfolio to double, the next double is going to happen in 3.5 years. Then it's going to double again in 1.5 years. And you start to get these ridiculous returns.
And the good part of getting the dividends, to your point, Carlos and Chris, because you're compounding on top of that.
On top of that, exactly.
You're buying with the dividends,
the underlying asset while you're compounding the growth. So they're not wrong. Like, you're not going to go broke doing either, but it is good to split that up, or just start multiple accounts. Like, there's no reason why you can't do that.
So let me give you a little background. So I have like an individual account that I do more of like a spec play, smaller amounts, smaller positions, and then I have like my 401k that I'm kind of just putting into indexes, what you're calling is your safety, your parachute. And then I also have a Roth that I'm trying to max out every year here on out. So I didn't know, since I already am doing a lot of indexes in my 401k and my company's matching that, if I should expose myself to the dividends, because I don't really have a dividend only portfolio, if I should put dividends and maybe, like you're saying, some REITs or something else in my Roth. I was kind of just trying to get
a great app for that. M1's a great app for that. That's what I use it. I think that's why Vitaly and I got M1 was specifically for dividend investing. I have my Roth in M1 for that reason. It's very good to move money around and allocate and see the growth.
I think you're doing the right thing no matter what, even if you don't listen to us. It already sounds like you're doing the right thing, and it sounds like you're going to be a millionaire if you just keep doing this.
How old are you?
Trying, man. 22.
And you're a young guy, man.
Why don't we ask Amit how many accounts he has in his IRA and his Roth?
I even missed the cutoff to make my Roth IRA this year, so I didn't start it this year.
You can't miss
just get it in there. Look, it's $6,000 a year maximum contribution. That's fine.
Granted, I needed that 6,500. I didn't want to put it in a Roth IRA. So
you have to find a way. You have to find a way.
I don't have an income. I don't have an income like this guy.
So you should have sold. You should have sold some of your Palantir. Took the losses as a tax loss.
Not bad.
Use that money that you got, put it into your Roth.
In December of last year, sell, buy 30 days later, wash sale, eat that.
Every year I call my accountant because there's always a deadline for these things, and I'm like, how much money do I need to put in this?
You need to erase, right?
Give me the maximum number right now, and I do whatever he says. Whatever he says, the maximum, I figure it out.
Believe it or not, you should really consider a financial planner. Most people should. Like, they are worth their weight in gold. They're worth their weight in gold.
But your account, like my accountant,
he's doing the right thing already. He doesn't need to waste the 1% of his net worth to anybody.
I agree.
I wouldn't.
The firm I work for they do financial planning and stuff. I don't really know if I want to waste the percentage.
That's what
fees
I
either on that, since
personally
I'm
I
already-
wouldn't recommend that. I know people like high net worth individuals that had them.
Yeah.
And what they do is they usually beat the returns. Like those guys are very
Yeah.
conservative, and they're trying to just basically get a minimum growth, 2-5%, whatever it is, just enough to like keep up with the market. They're not trying to win for you. They're trying not to lose for them. It's a very different mindset. So and then my buddy had one where it was like a 50% allocation. They would invest 50% and he would invest the other. He beat them his first year out. So if you have a great accountant, that accountant will be able to help you. Like mine, I don't know who your accountant is, but
just one more thing, Amit, man, you got to get that Roth open, man. I opened mine when I turned 19, man. I couldn't max it out. I haven't maxed it out in a year from age 19 to 22, but I just now started a really good full-time job, so I'm gonna start maxing it out now.
Brian, let me ask you
this
this
is the
question.
smartest 22-year-old I've ever heard.
But Brian, be careful because there is an income limit on the Roth. You know, because you're a single
100%,
guy.
100%. Yeah, I'm still under the limit. Yep.
Yeah. Good.
Yep.
Good.
Brian, the question is, did I do this when I was younger? I did not know about 90% of these things.
That's what I'm about to ask.
20 years old.
How did you find out what a Roth IRA was at 19? Because I think I'm starting younger than most people, but I still didn't know what that shit was at 19.
Honestly, it's kind of crazy how I just came about. My mom's in the medical field. She's a lab lady, and my dad builds trailers for an RV company. So I just kind of fell into this niche and started watching a lot of YouTube videos and doing a lot of my own research, and then found that I like it.
This is so interesting because at 19, I was watching drop shipping videos on YouTube. That's what the algorithm was.
Yeah.
So I was trying to do Shopify shit and I wasted money, but I think I learned a lot of stuff. But I just wish, Jeremy's videos were recommended to me at that time.
YouTube University, man.
Because if I was buying Shopify stock instead of fucking trying to set up a store, I would have 2x, 3x the money by now, right?
Can you bring up Andrew Salomon's comment at 650?
Where's the comment? It's all the way.
While he finds that,
here you go. Yeah.
Go ahead.
It's Vitaly, Carlos, or Chris. Did any of you do this when you were younger? If so, what is the return looking like at your age now? Because I don't like the idea of locking up so much cash until 60.
I just think that last sentence is not the way to look at this. I don't like this idea of locking up so much cash. It's like it's not like a home. It's not a home. This is you're growing your money. This is planting seeds that you're watering every single year. And if you have a company that's helping you match, you're growing your money. It's not locking up your cash. I think that's just a fundamentally.
Well, also, if you need it, look, if you actually needed it for something big, you take it out, you take the 10% penalty, and that's it.
And there's a lot of caveats. If you
could take it out for certain purchases. Yeah.
If you have certain purchases,
there's a financial planner in the chat.
There we go.
Don't pay him, Bryant.
Yeah. No, I would say the younger you are, the better off you are investing in this stuff. So by the time you're in your 45s, believe it or not, when you're in your 45, you can afford to quit your job and rely on that income. You just have to pay a little bit. Like I know people in their 40s with $1 million in their portfolio in their 401k generating like $70,000, $80,000. And that's enough for them to live. They have their house paid off. And if you think about it, it's like $4 or $5 grand a month.
But when you said, wow, I think you didn't understand compounding. That's exactly what's going to happen to you.
No. Okay. So I understand compounding, but the thing is my parents did none of this stuff. So it's like,
I think all of our
parents know the idea.
My parents still don't know this stuff.
Yeah, I know the idea of like the fact that you're supposed to, you max out the Roth, you're going to be a millionaire by the time you go to retire. But it's just the idea, like until I actually see it myself and know someone that's had.
No, you're going to be done by 45, dude.
But you know what? You know what?
I hope so. I hope you're right.
To Vitaly's point, this is one of the reasons why putting some of the money in dividends is actually great because you see it coming in. Somebody posted, I think it was the dividend investor on Twitter. He said buying dividends is like buying income. And that's a better way of looking at it. You are buying income. It's a steady income. It's not much. But that first time you get a dividend payment of like $3 and you're like, oh my God, like you mean if I just buy more, like this is going to be more, you'll never be more proud making $3
So let me answer Ranger the dog's question if you want to put that right there. Yeah. So the penalty that you would pay if you're, let's say in your 40s, you want to take some money out early, like you quit your job. So your income is theoretically $0, right? Now, let's say you take out $40,000 that year to basically have, to live on and everything else. Yes, you will have to pay taxes on that money. But at $40,000, the taxes are very little. And then there's a penalty that you have to pay for withdrawing, but the penalty is a percentage, which is also a very small amount.
And it's only on the gains. It depends.
It's only on the gains. So basically you're barely paying that much out anyway. So it's almost like, yeah, okay, maybe you'll take a little bit of a hit on the taxes, but you'll be retired by 45. And especially if you have a giant principal already built, that nest egg, dude, at that point, if you're making like, let's say $80,000-$90,000 a year in passive income in your 401k and you withdraw, let's say 40, 50, you're still good. You know, you can live comfortably, you know?
Yeah.
All right.
I think he
pull
should,
out all the money.
he should do a calculator online. There's all these dividend calculators.
Yeah.
Put a conservative rate of 5% on how much you're putting in every year, and you will be shocked what happens.
You're going to be
in
shocked
20,
when you go
25
into the
years.
future.
You will be absolutely shocked.
And you know, while we were talking, I did a basic calculation. For you to hit $6,000 a year, say roughly with 30 days in the calendar month, it's $500 a month times 12 will give you $6,000. That's $16 a day. That's not a lot of money. You can make that work. Maybe not every day, right? So maybe you do 1 month, you only do 400. So you might get up to 5,000 or 4,500. But still, when you break it down to $16 a day, it's like you can do that, or you can feed some hungry kid in Africa.
Yeah, it's like lunch money.
Well, when I found out about dividends was actually really recently, by the way, 3-4 years ago.
Yeah.
I did not know about.
Really? You don't know about dividends till you're 40?
Oh yeah,
Well, I knew about but I didn't understand
the power of it. Yeah.
Wow.
And then I did the actual calculations. And Carlos has an email from me and a bunch of my friends. I did the math for them. I said, you motherfuckers all have to start dividend portfolios because this is insane. What happens in like.
Now, I knew about dividends almost 10 years ago, but here's the part that I never understood. I look at a dividend, it's like, oh, this is only a 2% yield. I don't want to buy that. That's like nothing, right? And then I would skip over that. But here's the thing. That fucking company was growing their dividend every single year for the last 15 years. Exactly. So not only did I get capital appreciation from the stock going up, but my dividends were all based on the original shares that I had bought earlier. And so I'm getting almost like a 10-12% return in 10 years. So if you think about it, it's crazy. So dividend portfolios are amazing, especially in growing companies. So I know that a lot of times you look at a company, you're like, oh, this is only a 2% dividend on this company. I don't want to invest in it. But dude, imagine that dividend growing for the next 10, 15 years, what it'll be like. The people that bought Coca-Cola in 1995, bro, at the time, it was just like, oh, yeah, a couple of cents dividends. Who gives a shit? They're retired, just chilling.
Just remember, what's his name? Warren Buffett makes as much in dividends per year as he probably spent on all the stock the first time he bought it.
Yeah, his
By the way,
Apple,
one last thing I want to add before I head out.
On Coca-Cola,
the 9 o'clock time is way better, guys.
I agree. I agree.
Out here on the East Coast, it's a little hard to start watching you from 10 to 11:30 and then go to bed and wake up for my 9 to 5.
I still agree. I agree with you.
We still expect you to do it.
I think we got to try 9, bro. I think we got to make it 9. We got to make it
9.
Except next week, as we discussed already.
We'll switch.
I'm voting 9 on the live. Thank you guys.
Well, but it's also we are trying to coordinate 4 different schedules, so we work it out as best as we can.
Thank you, Brian. We appreciate you watching, man.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah. And good luck with your investing, dude. Hopefully we'll still be around in 10 years, and you'll be like, yeah, these guys are right. Now I'm fucking retired.
Yeah,
Fuck
it'll be Brian.
y'all.
It'll be Brian here with his 7%
right.
dividend and his Ukrainian wife.
And don't get a girlfriend. Keep working.
Don't invest in.
Do not tell your girlfriend about the dividends.
All right.
We'll do.
Later.
All right, we got one more. Big Ray, what's up?
What's up, guys? Honorary a finance junkie checking in.
Yeah, you pitched us last time.
Yeah, sorry, my phone died. That was I just didn't want to hear Carpelos talk anymore. Actually, so that's really
no, don't do that. Don't do that. Don't do that. You don't listen. Don't. Let me tell you right now. Anyone who comes on, be respectful of the hosts. All right, don't do that. So
that's right.
We may have a relationship where we joke around with each other.
Chris, he's kidding. He's kidding.
I know.
I love Carpelos.
Right now, Chris is doing the right thing. He's shutting it down right now.
Yeah. No, because the thing is like, because you know what it is, Ray. If you come on and we insult you, then everyone thinks like, hey, this guy is good to be clowned on. So every time you're on, we should be clowning you, and we're not like that. We don't want to be like that. We're not the types of people that do that. We're going to be respectful to you, so just be respectful to us. That's all.
That's fair. That's fair. Yeah. I mean, all right, but really, really quick, just adding on to the last little bit. I actually learned this from Chris too. Adding some TFC into my my Roth. just a
Nice.
little bit. Even then, you can only have a max that you can add every year to your Roth, right?
Yeah.
But when you're aiming
6,000.
dividends, you get a little extra, right? So
Yeah.
then you can move that into other stocks. And I know
Yeah.
you like to drip it, but I like to put it into more speculative plays.
Yeah. No, that's good,
But
man. That's good.
yeah,
Yeah.
really. So I wanted to talk a little bit about like cycles, and specifically, I know last time I was talking about space, which I didn't end up buying puts, which would have printed today, but it's all good. Specifically, I want to talk about something I'm more long on, and it's one that Matt Money brought into my attention, which is Rocket Lab, and I really liked it. And I also was listening to Jason Calacanis's the investor the week this week in startups, and it was like an astro mining company that was really interesting that I probably can't get into because it's a private company and stuff. But specifically, I know we were talking earlier about how like you think these cycles are like never end. Like a couple of years ago, it was EVs, and then obviously now they're like on a downtrend. And right now, it's probably AI that's going to be on the uptrend. I was kind of wondering what you guys' thoughts on when space is going to come back, because there was a time where all these space stocks were ripping, right? And kind of like, what do you guys think about that?
I'll give a quick thing. Space will come back when weed stocks come back. There you go.
Okay.
I think space stocks, depending on which one you have, I would say look at the counterparties, because I think that's one of the things that people don't necessarily do with speculative companies. I think I said it yesterday. Who are they partnered with? Because if, let's say, Rocket Lab gets huge contracts with, let's say, the European Space Agency or the Japanese Space Agency to launch their satellites into space, that gives them the breathing room that they need in order to survive. So here's a good example, like this company, Black Sky. We all hear about it. They're a satellite company. But what people don't realize is that their big daddy is the NSA. Like the NSA launches spy satellites, and Black Sky is actually a contractor for them. So if you look at the counterparty, dude, that like de-risks the entire business. So right now, imagine SpaceX. SpaceX has NASA behind it, right? So even if, let's say, SpaceX was losing money on every single launch, NASA is going to keep subsidizing them until they are profitable. So with Rocket Lab, do they have any partners right now that they've partnered with that are launching satellites on their vehicle? Because if they do, Rocket Labs will be good. They'll be able to survive a downturn. But if they don't have any partnerships and they're always going to just keep doing testing, eventually they're going to run out of runway, and then the equity holders are going to end up folding, right? So always, especially if you're looking at speculative names like smaller cap companies, look at the counterparties that are willing to support this business.
But I also just want to say, like, it's not just about launching satellites. Like, in order for space to be a $50 trillion opportunity, which it really is, it represents the next sort of gold rush, or as we become a one on the like that Kardashev scale, where we control the resources of the planet. You're talking about like bases on the moon. You're talking about space hotels. You need like a 5% penetration in anything to really gain some ground. There's like a handful of people that have even been to space. So what you need is highly unprofitable companies taking a bunch of people up there so that they can see it. And you need space tourism to become something where one company, one of these giant hotels, like, I mean, Vitaly and I did the episode. I don't know if it was you I was talking to on Twitter where I posted that episode. And there are companies that are trying to build modular hotels in space. It's so freaking early. It might not even be in your lifetime. I'm assuming you're younger than me, but it might not even be in your lifetime. This might be something for the 2100s. To say
I
that.
want to ask you, Big Ray, do you own conventional good quality companies, or you're just looking at spec stocks? That's all you're looking at.
So I typically only do spec stocks because I own real estate, and I expect that to kind of be my retirement and what I lean on mostly. But I am starting to. So my kind of thesis. You guys had someone. I think it was Amit that had him on. I think for Cash or something like that, like a week ago. And he actually has a really similar strategy to like me, whereas I like see a company like Palantir that I really like at a very low number, right? And it'll probably climb up to the 20s, which I no longer really want to buy there, and kind of just let it ride out and then kind of look for the next play. And a lot of that, the next play doesn't have to be speculative, right? So I really like the TFC thesis and SoFi thesis as well. So that's probably
let me just stop you there for 1 second. See, this is the same mistake that I made very early in my career, where I would look at the physical number of the stock, be like, oh, this is a $5 stock, which means that this could go to $50, right? But the thing is, you should always look at the market cap, because that is what's going to give you a better indication, right?
For sure.
So if it's like a $5 $5 billion market cap company that's like $100 a share, that's actually worth investing more money into with a bigger growth trajectory than something that's a $10 company but has like a $25 $25 billion market cap.
No, I know, I understand all that. I do have some like Amazon and stuff like that too.
Yeah.
I just since I'm young, I'm only 28. I feel like I can take these big risks with a more speculative.
And that's absolutely true. Right? You're absolutely right. At your young age, you should not be looking for safety. You should be looking for endless growth.
How old
because you have 28. He's 28.
This is opposite advice for the 22-year-olds. No, you have to put some money away for the safety. In fact, on the last episode, the guy was 22. You said he buys some REITs.
I've real estate that cash flows. You know, so I think I'm in a different position. You know,
that's great. By the way, I also have real estate as well, but you do need to just invest in some good quality, either ETFs, REITs, high quality companies like Amazon and Google, and just put them in the portfolio. Just buy a little bit of them at a time in your Roth IRA, and forget about them. And then
like at one point, like Palantir was like 100% of my portfolio. Now it's like 80, and it's eventually going to be 20, 30. You know, you get what I'm saying? Like the more I add other stuff.
Yeah, I think that's good. Companies like that are. Here's a question: what percentage of your portfolio is in speculative names?
Yeah, like Palantir is my most speculative, and then it goes like Amazon.
See, I used to think Palantir is more speculative, but now they got net income, right? Net income means that they're not going. When I say spec, I mean companies that aren't even making any money, like Enovix. Like all of us are analyzing this company called Enovix. It is a battery manufacturer that's got some next generation tech in battery, but it's pure spec. If they don't work out, they could go out of business. But that's why we don't have like a large position in it. Where at least with Palantir, they're a net income company. They're generating cash flow, so they're not nearly as speculative.
I think it might be. I mean, it might only be SoFi, and then by the end of quarter 4, maybe that might change already. So.
That's gonna, dude. SoFi is. I'll tell you right now. I'm starting to become a much bigger believer of SoFi. So
I really enjoyed that. That 30-minute interview was incredible. Honestly, like I heard it, I'm like, damn, that's
highly encourage all of our viewers. If you get a chance, there was an interview that Anthony Noto did with an analyst from JP Morgan today. He basically took every single bear thesis including mine. I had some bear thesis also. He took it and knocked them out of the park. And I think he's setting up this company to be a monster growth company in the next 5 years. And
that better happen because I bought a shit ton of calls yesterday.
You bought them at a higher price than I did.
I do want to add, because Vitaly is right. Vitaly is right, kind of like for my age range and stuff, like how I should be investing. But I do like own a business that gives me a lot of tax-free capital, actually. So I am in a very unique position, and I wouldn't expect other people to do what I do. So.
Right. Everyone's situation is unique. That's the other thing about investing, right? Like if you're like me right now, I'm looking for a house, so I have to be a little bit more conservative with my cash, because I can't just go to my wife and say, "Hey, listen, I know we wanted to buy a house, but I put the down payment in this space company, and the rocket blew up on the fucking tarmac, and now we're probably gonna have to live in the apartment."
And now we're diamond hands.
Well, this is what I mean. Like if you're gonna invest in spec, you should really think about it. Like, okay, SoFi has a path to profitability. Palantir is faking it until they make it, whatever. But if you talk about space, I mean, like the space itself and also Rocket Lab, where are they? Are they even anywhere close?
Well, that's what I'm asking. I don't have a position at all. I don't have a position at all.
Wait. To say, hold on. To say Rocket Lab's not close means you haven't done any due diligence.
Okay, I haven't honestly, but how close are they? You tell me how close
they're close.
You gotta ask Matt. You gotta ask Matt. Matt does way more research.
Yeah, Matt has done a ton of videos on them.
How close are they to actually as close as SoFi is, for example?
If SoFi is a couple quarters from GAAP profitability, I would say Rocket Lab's maybe a year or two from GAAP profitability.
Yeah, I think
you have a while to accumulate Rocket Lab. You don't need to go all in. That's my point.
For sure. That's what the question was.
Yeah.
So.
Okay.
All right.
But
awesome, Big Ray.
Question: when it happens, it's going to be a huge opportunity, and I still think you have enough time that you'll be able to see it coming.
Carlos, do you have any Rocket Lab or
no? I mean, it's again with so many good deals in the market. No, and I'm focusing right now on getting massive positions in companies that I've already done research on. I just every wealthy person, like really wealthy person that I know, did not start diversifying, did not throw a couple of dollars here, even $1,000 here and there, or something. They were like, I want 10,000 shares of this company, and I'm just not going to stop. And even right now, like the positions in my overall portfolio that are still sitting on massive gains are are from that, are from being incredibly just laser focused, ignoring everything else and dumping huge amounts of money in 1, 2, 3, 4 positions. So it seems to be working. I sold out, Selva. I sold out.
Of what?
Awesome.
Space. Selva's saying I had some. I sold out to harvest some tax loss, actually. I harvested some tax loss right before the end of the year.
Nice.
All right. Thanks, Big Ray, for coming on. Welcome anytime. We'll talk
It was
to
a
you
pleasure,
next
man. Have a good one.
time. Peace.
This was good. We did good with the time today. That's
Did with the
kudos to
time,
you,
yeah.
man.
So Bucker, you'll be on tomorrow. I know we had you backstage, but we got to end a little bit early this
I'm
week.
just letting y'all know, me and Bucker are heavy into the banks, guys. Me and Bucker.
You guys
thought I was going somewhere
You should
else.
call yourselves the bank robbers.
we are the
Bank
bank
Buckers.
You got
bro. We are gonna rob these goddamn banks blind, man. That's what we're gonna do, right, Bucker? There you go.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you, everybody. New channels in the chat. Please subscribe to that. Let me just put some Twitters real quick. We've got Chris's Twitter, my Twitter, Vitali, and Carlos. Please follow us there. 529 people means the absolute world to us. We'll be here tomorrow to end out the work week for Finance Junkies at 9.
Bucker, by the way, is up 43% on his position. I'm about a little bit less than Bucker. I'm not as good as him when it comes to investing in this shit. But me and him are pretty bullish on the banks, bro. But we're up.
That's funny.
Like,
Thank Bucker.
Yeah.
Wait, is he in
go.
Truist too, or no?
He's in all sorts of regionals, bro. All of them. And he's into the triple leveraged ETF for it. And he's up a lot. Yeah.
Those are short-term holds, bro. I don't mess with those. Like,
yeah, nah, bro. But Bucker does his DD, man. He knows what he's talking about.
No, he's smart.
So
he's real smart.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I love it. All right, everybody. Thank you for being here. We'll be here tomorrow. 500 means a lot. We will see you tomorrow, 9 p.m. Eastern, and we'll keep it going from there. Good night, everybody.
Appreciate it, guys.
Have a good
Take
one.
care.
Bye.